We're basically here in the Harman boardroom just demonstrating some basic collaboration technologies in spaces that require a little bit better acoustical performance than a typical audio soundbar. In this type of meeting space environment, we want to bring in more microphones and we want to have more effective DSP processing for it. But we don't want to go to a complete DSP platform that requires custom configurations and custom programming. We want a simpler DSP device that just allows a person to be able to web browse in an HTML5 interface and configure and commission that space very simply. So what we're presenting here today is the DCP-555, which is the audio conference DSP processor that is a fixed architecture, template-driven DSP processor. What you're looking at here is the HTML5 interface that allows me to set up and configure and manage different profiles for that box. In this case, we have a fixed architecture that allows for 16 inputs, 12 outputs, 4 voice over IP lines, and 32 by 32 Blue Link channel and AES67 inputs. We've got this configured with that I/O configuration to operate as either one single combined large complex conference space or maybe 4 independently small systems. So we'll go ahead and load up how this DCP would be configured for 4 independent rooms all operating off of one appliance. In this case, we see that we've got all of our inputs simply lined up on the left with all of the EQs and acoustic echo cancellation reference points assigned to each channel. We have custom independent mixes that allows us to independently route any of these inputs to specific outputs. So when I'm configuring this, all I have to do is click on a specific independent mix and decide which inputs I want to route to these outputs. In this case, I've got room 1 microphones routed to room 1 amplifiers and speakers. And as I click through, I can perform the same for each of these independent mixes. The whole point of this was to really simplify the commissioning process. So we've already built all the DSP blocks and logic icons in there. Every icon in here is meaningful, meaning I can click on any icon and configure options on that. So in this case, maybe I just want to configure the specific gain levels and certain values for each independent mix, or I can go into individual inputs, individual outputs, and independently control that parametric EQ for that input, for that source, or for that destination. Other little nifty tools we put in here is self-discovery. You walk in to troubleshoot a system, you hear sound coming out of a speaker, you don't know what all sources are being routed to that specific speaker. You can come into an output, just click on that output and it's automatically going to tell you every single thing that's routed, no matter which configuration you're within. And everything, a built-in signal generator, so just to kind of help technicians troubleshoot the system, dial out the system, make sure that they've got everything wired up and routed correctly. But all the configurations are built to just be very simple. All of your IP settings, all of your configurations are all accomplished right here from your dashboard. So simplifying commissioning, simplifying the management and maintenance of DSP in these common spaces. So one of the other things we're showing here at the Harman boardroom is also our new Insight video presentation switcher, which just looks at these small to medium-sized spaces where I need just a couple of inputs routed in, maybe mixed in with whatever my collaboration device might be, whether it's a PC running a soft codec or maybe our Ascendo Core running our one-touch Skype for Business, joint collaboration platform. In this case, we have some basic video sources routed to it. We're routing for distance transport HD base T back to a receiver that is going to be available for the display to get HDMI into the display. This is USB 2.0 compatible, which means if I've got my USB camera that I need to route back into some other sources in my system, I can take the USB from my camera, route it into my receiver, and make that video available to other devices in my system. So right now that camera is being routed to our Ascendo Core. So that when I come in and I start my Skype meeting, Skype will load and have access to this camera that is running up this HDBaseT transport stream.
Rather than ask for money all the time to everybody. It's just free.
Again, just like the DCP-555, the Insight 813 is also built with some tools to simplify the commissioning process. It's got also an HTML5 interface for doing the configuration of that device.